Welcome to Pivot to Grow, where our philosophy is leap and grow your wings on the way up. Each week, we will bring not only our many years of experience, but also expert guests in many genres. Together, we will give you a blueprint on not only how to construct your new wings, we'll show you how to utilize them. We will do this with laughter, love, tears, compassion, friendship, and understanding. Here we go.
Hey everybody, it's Gail Dillon. I am part of the Pivot to Grow team with Ilya, and we have a special guest with us today. And so I believe Ilya and I are going to talk a little bit about ourselves first before we introduce our special guest. So Gail Dillon, like I said, I am part of this podcast. Ilya asked me to join with her and do this, and I'm really excited. This is our very first, Cindy, you are our very first guest. So, and we picked you because we know you're going to knock it out of the park. I also have a business, Practical Everyday Wisdom, where I do coaching and help people with transition and transformation. And Ilya, how about you? What are you up to?
Trouble and no good as usual.
As usual. That's what I love about your girlfriend.
So I am a strategist for personal and nonprofit businesses. And so my business name is La Bella Vita Consultants. And you can find Gail and my contact information and our business information on our website. So please head over there. And yeah, that's about what I'm up to right now. I'm so excited about this podcast. And I love this lady. She is the true epitome of a Southern lady. So I'm excited about today.
And before I introduce Cindy, I just want to let everybody know that our web address is pivot, the number 2, grow. That's all together, no spaces, .org. So pivot, the number 2, grow, .org. So we look forward to you listening, reviewing, and rating us on any of your listening channels. So let's get started with Cindy Stewart. I met Cindy Stewart, as did Ilya, in 2020. We all ended up in a Canfield methodology training class together. We bonded, we learned about each other, we got to go deep with each other because that's part of the training. Cindy has a rich background, and she also volunteers like an Energizer bunny. We all have, they say we all have the same hours in the day. How do we spend them? And Cindy spends her time volunteering in her community. So what I want Cindy to do, what I told her before we got live, is I want her to blow her own horn and tell people what she's done, what she's doing, and where she's headed.
Oh gosh, well, thank you, Ilya and Gail. It is my privilege and absolutely thrilled to be here, and oh gosh, to be number 1. How exciting. So be your first. Kind of takes you back many years to different things, but we won't go there. I am originally from northwestern Pennsylvania and then transplanted to Missouri and Texas. And I've been in North Carolina for the last 33 and a half years. So I do consider myself a little Southern. My family thinks I definitely have an accent, which I don't claim. I keep telling them it's them. But anyway, that's kind of where I am right now. I'm a mother of 2. I'm actually a widow. I had been married for over 37 years and had an unexpected event in my life and life-changing. However, comfortable with that because he knew exactly what I was going to be doing for the next 30 years. And I guess for my role in the marriage was to keep him guessing what I was going to do next. And so it's not surprising to him. I'm a registered nurse by original diploma nurse, a graduate RN, and went back to school for bachelor's and progressed to master's in business and healthcare administration because I wanted to be able to come to talk to the big boys at the table with healthcare. So I have had a rich career in nursing as bedside nurse, staff nurse, educator, and administrator director. And so nursing's always been very good to me, and it's actually for me a calling. It was interesting. I think I'm the first in the family to actually go into the medical healthcare profession. So that was kind of different. I do have 2 grown daughters, and this year I have a first grandchild, a granddaughter, Hadley May, and she lives about an hour and a half from me. So I have been running up and down the road to Raleigh. I live in Kernersville, which is middle of the state in North Carolina. So you guys are across the United States from me. And I think one of the joys that I have had in the last couple of years is to be able to reach out virtually to people all over the world and training with the Canfield family. We had 48 people in our class, I think from 20 some odd countries. And then also kind of working on some projects with a book author, kind of added author to my title just last week with an international bestseller for the book on joy. So, and that was a joy to actually participate. And we worked with women from 8 other countries. So Cindy's Gone Global is one of the things that I share with my friends, and then keep kind of aspiring to different things. I do have my own business in skincare, and I also now have started working with nurses is my primary group, because I want to give back to the community of nursing, because it has been such a good career for me, and I want the others to grow. And whether they are anywhere on their spectrum, I want to be able to help them enjoy retirement or else enjoy the career, and hope that they love it as much as I have had the opportunity to enjoy it and serve the people.
Nice. So tell us about, you talked about a lot of different things that you're doing right now. You new published author for international best-selling book, the book on joy. However, I'm really interested in how you're going to support nurses. What's that looks like, what you're doing for the nurse community.
Yes, well, I have been a lifelong learner. I think the first day of nursing school, I was a 17-year-old in class, and our group ranged from 17 to 40 years of age in our class. So it was quite a span. And the director came in and said, her first sentence out of her mouth was, "If you are not a lifelong learner, you don't belong here." And of course, that did catch me by surprise. And I kept thinking, oh my God, am I a lifelong learner? I'm not sure. But I stayed, and I am a lifelong learner. And so with that, I almost forgot the question, Gail. I'm so excited about my lifelong learning.
What's your program that you're offering?
The program. So back to the exciting program. So I wanted to get back. I have followed Jack Canfield since the early 80s. And I took the opportunity to finally say, well, I wasn't getting any younger, and neither was he, and I hadn't met him yet. So that was kind of on one of my to-do lists, is get there. So a couple of years ago in 2018, it was a 2017 Christmas gift from my husband to go to Scottsdale, Arizona to one of the conferences. And I actually met Jack Canfield there, and had the opportunity to hear him in Washington and meet with him again. So it just confirmed what I knew, is that is something I wanted to do. And he teaches the success principles, and I believe in the success principles. And his question to me is, what took you so long to get here? And so, yes, it took me almost 40 years to get to Jack. even though I had followed his career. And so I have seen what it's done for other people, and knowing that the challenges that nurses have, we're people too, and in kind of critical situations, life and death all the time, many times. And that was part of my arena in the critical care environment. And so I wanted to let people know that you still can be successful and have a good life, and create the life you want. And that is one of my purposes, is to actually teach the success principles to the nursing community, and also do some coaching. And my dream for them is to encourage them to dream bigger and in creative ways. And I consider myself an idea person. So beginning of projects is where I am strongest. So again, helping them set goals and attain things that they like in their list. And that was just even writing the book on joy was, I guess, one of my bucket list, number 27 on my bucket list of things to do is to be a published author. And so sometimes I go into Cindy time, and it takes me a little bit longer to get there. However, following the principles and deciding what you want, those are some of the lessons that I have learned from Jack, is that don't wait, take your time and go for it. So, that's it. So I do have some 6-week courses, and I actually have done one-on-one coaching. And I think what makes me joyful and happy is to see people successful and obtaining the goals of things that they want to do for their own happiness.
I have a question for you, Cindy. So from the time you started nursing, I'm sure things have changed radically and differently. And so with those changes, what changes are you seeing, what challenges are you seeing now, and utilizing the principles that you teach? What would be one of your big takeaways for nurses out there right now?
I think one of the big takeaways that I see, and one of the changes is one, and some of them really haven't changed, some of the principles of the science. However, science does change daily, so lifelong learning. But one of the things that I think is challenging is, in our busyness of the day-to-day life, we do see a lot of returning students that are going back to school as second careers. And I see the tug between their learning and their home, their family life, and trying to balance. So that's been a challenge. Also recently, with the changes for us as, I guess, a world with COVID. So dealing with those and having to pivot for us, I think was something that the more agile group is the ones that will be most successful. And I think that that's where the success principles come in, taking 100% responsibility for your life, no complaining, no blaming, show up, be there, and then decide what you want. So if it's something you really want, you can attain it. And I think that many times people want to go ahead and say, oh, I can't do this. Well, one of the things is to eliminate the word can't from your vocabulary, and then find a different way. There's many paths to get to the same end result. And I encourage people, because nobody's path is the same. Every journey is different. And what got me here isn't going to get the next person there. So we're each unique individuals. And I think that's the gift that nurses bring to the bedside and to, the healthcare arena, is that we do have a different voice, and we come in all shapes and sizes. And so we all have a unique gift to offer. So those are some of the challenges, I think, finding that balance and keeping the end goal in mind for the nursing students and stuff that are out there. the learners.
I love that you name some of the success principles that you teach, and you have talked about being a published author now, and that was something on your bucket list. However, I don't believe you held up the book for the audience to see. So if you would do that.
Yes.
Yeah.
So here is the book, and I do have the book with 29 other authors, and of course you're looking at a couple of them too with Ilya and Gail, our project on joy, and the other ladies from around the world. So and we actually spent the last Thursday to Friday 24 hours of joy. Scattered Joy was my chapter, and I believe that that's what nurses also do when they go into work, and they are there for the patients and to care. And I think caring is one of the pivotal words there for them.
You know, you just answered my next question. I was going to say, what was the name of your chapter? So it's Scattered Joy. Could you share with Ilya and I the quote that you picked, and then why you picked it?
Okay, I love quotes. Anybody that knows me and has received a card from me, there's almost always a quote. I like short quotes. So Scattered Joy by Waldo Emerson spoke to my heart because I think I'm a natural gift giver, and it doesn't take much to make me happy. I have to do that. But also, I know that people can scatter joy simply by smiling, acknowledging one another. You know, for us in nursing, holding a hand, being there at, you know, the side when somebody is dying, being there for families. And so Scattered Joy spoke to my heart because it's simple. We live in a very complex world, and I keep thinking or overthinking things, and they're really not as complicated as we make them out to be. No matter what type of technology we bring, human touch is one of the foremost pieces, unconditional love, gratitude. So these things are simple, and I share some of the stories growing up because I think Emerson just nailed it on the head and just said, you know, we have it within us. It's in our soul already, and we don't have to go far to find it. And if we take a few minutes to look inside ourselves, that we can actually feel it and then live it, and then we can scatter it. So Scattered Joy was something very simple for me, and it just jumped off the page. And so that's what I selected. And then I chose, I took time to reflect and look at what was meaningful or what jumped out at me. And so when I shared the stories of different times in my family, and I did share a nursing story in there. The first time I saw a father see a newborn baby, you know, here you are at 17, 18 years old, and you're seeing a baby born, and this feeling just, woo, came over, and I could just see it on his face and feel the joy. And I just, you know, brought up some emotion, and then I had to share it. It was like, oh my gosh. So I went to my dorm room and I wrote a letter to my mother saying, woo. And of course, you know, she's been through that 4 times, and she saw, you know, the different things. Now it was a little different. Like Ilya said, times have changed. When I was born, my father was not allowed in the delivery room. He waited until we were delivered and he saw the baby mother were okay. Then he hit the golf course. And for us, you know, when I was in school, they were allowed, men were, you know, fathers were allowed in the delivery room. So times started changing, even with the birth of my own children. My husband was right there with me with each of the birth, but I still remember the first gaze his eyes on the child, and you just don't forget it.
Mhm.
Very, very emotional. But those are the things that nurses can share with people. We are there for intimate moments, you know.
So Cindy, I also believe, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but I think in your coaching, coaching of nurses, one of the things that you think is important that nurses may forget is self-care, because they are in service. And we know that when, the best service providers are usually people who have the least amount of self-care. So if you had some sage advice that you could give for nurses that are listening, what would be your first self-care, the thing that you would say, you need to do this every day for yourself? What would that be?
One of it is, there's a couple, and one comes to mind, and you are correct, Gail. The self-care is a challenge, and I still struggle with it even after all these years. And I'm going to say sleep. I was a night nurse, and I used to live on 4 hours of sleep. I would just sleep 4 hours, and then I was up and enjoying the day with everybody else. And as I have grown older and wiser, I'd have to say that sleep, especially for those who are working the different shifts. And of course, there is different shift work, and it not only is healthcare providers, but also first responders, and even, manufacturing, they have the 24-hour 7 type of shifts. And so shift work and sleep, and trying to find that rest. I actually had one of the nursing instructors at one time that I worked with. She and her husband, she then went to night shift nursing, and they actually lived their night shift during the day. So in the day they were sleeping together, and then their daytime was really the night. So they never lost their rhythm. And so that's something that I know is a challenge, and a lot has been researched and on that. So sleep, and then hydration.
It's okay. We have our guest has phoned in, and he's a nurse.
Yes, I'm going to be admitting Michael into our room now, and Michael is a nurse. He has questions about burnout. I can imagine in this climate of COVID that we're all dealing with right now, what they're seeing. So I'm going to go ahead and admit Michael.
Yeah.
Hello,
Hi, Michael.
Hi, Michael.
Hello. Hi, everyone.
You are on with Cindy and Gail and Ilya, and Cindy is here to help you with your question on burnout. Go ahead.
Hi, Cindy. Real quick, I've been in the business quite a long time. I started as an EMT and worked as an ER nurse, and graduated and did all these things you're supposed to do to become a full-time nurse. Worked for a lot of doctors. And I think my biggest question about what she just mentioned was, it's at such a high level now that we always look to the doctors, or I don't know, for some sort of comfort or something, but I see burnout in so much. I don't know how to address it. I don't know what to do about it. How do you, what do you have to say about it?
Well, Michael, I'm going to commend you, because I know you're in EMT's frontline, ER frontline. So you're in a critical arena. And that's kind of where I spent my life also, in nursing. And burnout is a real phenomenon. It is one that has been also well researched. However, I think everybody still is unique, and we deal with things differently. And so one of the things, I'd like to hear from you is, how many hours a week are you working? What do you do for relaxation and enjoyment? And also, do you have a friend or a trusted confidant that you can relate to? So relationships are so important. And I'm trying to figure out your mention of the doctors and the relationships there. So yes, the relationship between the healthcare workers can make or break one too. They can make your life easy and uplifting, or they can also make it a challenge. And being able to have some of those crucial conversations with people. So can you describe a little bit about maybe what you're feeling and
Well,
kind of where you are?
we're seeing such an influx of patients that are not only conflicted, COPD, upper respiratory, all the issues with common cold, flu, you name it, influenza, going and on, and then COVID. But it's overwhelming because I think people are truly frightened to the point where even if somebody sneezes now, they run to the doctor. So every urgent care, every medical center, they're overwhelmed. And I have to say, most of the doctors handle it quite well. That's what they train for. That's what they've done. But on the other hand, it's not, how do I say, it doesn't trickle down. It sort of trickles up in a way, I guess, if you will. We're working 60-hour weeks like people work, I would imagine part-time. So 60 hours or nothing. And the influx of people that are truly frightened, truly unaware of what's going on. And you're only able to tell them so much because of what you're able to gather. And, there's other frustrations, and they watch the news and they come to you and ask you about the news. It's like, please, I don't want to talk about that. But it's a multitude of things. And then one day, a doctor might come walking in and he just explodes. Why? He's just somebody he can trust. You happen to be a nurse I happen to be one of those guys that they just would love to just sit down and talk to. So I'm lucky in that sense. I don't get picked on, but I get talked to a lot.
Right.
And I don't mind, I guess, because that's the person I am. People come to me, but sometimes you're like, make a left, go to the beach, sit down, rinse, repeat.
Yes. Well, I think part of it, you've hit on nail on the head, setting boundaries with how much you can tolerate and accept. I think that as far as education and working with the public, we need to guide them to the science. And I know that some people might really not like hearing that. However, I think that what we have seen with, the challenges of COVID, and now we're coming upon flu season and cold, and like you said, the COPDers, they're out there, an allergy season for some of the people still too. So I think that one of the things you need to do is also self-care. Again, they're sitting down talking to you, and who are you sitting down talking to? Or is it that trip to the beach? Is it the trip to the beach?
It is. For me, it is. I have a 9-pound Shih Tzu, and I walk to the beach, and that's who I talk to.
The dogs give unconditional love. So
yes,
the furry friends are fabulous because they love you no matter what, but they also sense what you're feeling, I think, and they're very attuned to that.
She's a tremendous help. She just looks at me and those big eyes, and I'll sit there with my tail of woe, and she'll turn around and walk away, and she couldn't care less. And it lets me know your world does not matter to me, darling. And so it makes me feel better. I don't know why.
You need to take me out for a walk, feed me, and love me, and then we'll carry on. So,
yep. I don't want to hear about your day, darling.
Sometimes we need to take a lesson from our dogs and actually do that. But the other piece is your self-care, working 60 hours a week. And yes, I've been there, 60 to 80, have done it, not healthy at all. And so the question here is, can you set that limit, the boundaries, without feeling guilty? I think nurses have a tendency to say yes to everything, and not considering that the wear and tear on themselves. And I think Gail mentioned it earlier. we have to have a full cup in order, our cup really needs to be overflowing because it can get drained so quickly, and taking care of ourselves. So are you nurses, I used to be able to drink a 12-ounce little can of pop for 12 hours. And that'd be about the only fluid I'd get, which we know is not healthy at all. So even that, what I would say, a breathing break. So when that all the things are coming, what I teach people to do, even in class, is to gently take 3 breaths. It will reset the body, and breathe in to the count of 4, breathe out to the count of 6, and simply do that 3 times. And you will be surprised at the change in mindset. And it gives you a little bit too, when we teach smoking, non-smoking, the smokers in smoking cessation class, there is the lungs send a message to the brain when you're taking those deep breaths, and it actually, relaxes you. So people think it's the cigarette, when really it's the breathing. So one of the fastest ways I know when things are happening around you is to simply slow down, take a deep breath, and hydrate. Tell them it's time for you to take a sip of water, and that's something that you can kind of do quickly and not be missed too long in the throes of chaos.
The chaos has kind of mellowed a little bit. I think people have gotten used to the fact that we're going to get hit. So I hate to say that's the good news, but it is. So the breathing technique's a great idea. Thank you. I love that idea. It's just, I tell everybody to do it, but I don't do it myself.
There you
So
go.
thank you very much for that. That's very helpful.
Great. Good. I hope you like using it, and use it often, Michael.
And Michael, don't forget.
I really appreciate it. Thanks for everything you guys are doing.
Yeah, don't forget, Michael, also, she not only said breathing, she said drink some
Hydration.
fluid. And I think when she said fluid, she means water now.
Water.
Oh, yes,
Not
absolutely.
Yes.
My drink of choice.
No
Thank you
problem.
all again. I appreciate it.
Thank you, Michael.
Thank you,
Bye,
guys.
Michael.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye. Thank you. All right, ladies. That was excellent advice, Miss Cindy. And something I think we all need to learn to do is drink more water.
Breathe and water. Those are 2 important things. The body likes both.
Yes. So, Miss Cindy, we are going to put your information up on our website so that our listeners who are interested in working with you or getting more information about you can find you. Any last words of wisdom that you'd like to impart?
Oh, I think that what I would like to impart is one, I think it's better to give than receive. And so scatter joy. My question at the end of my chapter actually is to challenge everybody to share with me and the world how you scatter joy. And then also, I think if there's more joy in the world, people won't seem so grumpy, along with being able to kind of survive a little bit. So taking also attitude of gratitude. I've lectured on that before, and I think if we all look at what we already have and the abundance around us, and be grateful for that daily, you'll find that you'll feel much better without having to go anywhere, and just simply look around your room and see all the good that is here around, that surrounds you every day.
That's beautiful. Thank you for that.
Yes, you're welcome. And
Miss
thank
Gail?
you for having me.
Yes.
You look like you're deep in thought over there.
I was just, first of all, admiring Cindy. And I love the scatter joy. I think that is a wonderful challenge that we should truly promote and put out there in the world. What if we all just scattered joy? How would our families look different? How would our communities look different? And then how would the world look different? So I just want to thank you. That is a true blessing and a gift that you give all to us. So I take that to my heart. You're not only brilliant at what you do in coaching, but I think that is that scatter joy is really something that's easy to remember.
Yes.
So I'm going to start telling people scatter joy.
Thank you. Yes, simple is good.
And for those that can't see Cindy because they're just listening to the podcast, please go over to our YouTube channel because your smile, Cindy, always brings joy. You have the most joyous smiles. So thank you for that.
Thank
And
you.
I don't know about you, Ilya. However, I was surprised that she wasn't born and raised in the South.
Me too.
Because I was like, what?
I know.
You truly are a Southern belle. I adore you.
Thank you so much. And thank you for having me. It's been a pleasure.
Oh, you are so welcome. And our next guest, so we're just going to segue into our next guest for next week, is going to be Mary Jo Rethgeb, who is going to be talking about human design. And human design is really a neat thing that I just learned about. It is a remarkable profiling system that accurately describes a person's nature and what the mechanical truth for them is according to that nature. So right now, Gail and I are in the process of getting ours done by Mary Jo, and we'll be discussing that good, bad, and indifferent next week on the air. I'm a little worried.
Me too.
I'm a little worried about mine.
Yeah, I'm only worried. I'm not worried about yours.
Yeah, I am really worried about mine. So, but if you are interested next week in being a guest and have a question regarding human design, please go to our website. And that is pivot2grow.org, please. And send us in your question, and we will definitely look at all of them, decide who, is going to have the opportunity to talk to Mary Jo about this really neat human design program. And then we're also going to choose somebody for just a general coaching question that Gail and myself and Mary Jo will be doing together at the beginning of the show. So that's all my announcements.
And all my announcement is to remind people of our website, pivot2grow.org. Say it with me, Ilya. Pivot2grow.
Pivot2grow.org.
This is why I love working with her, because I can tease her. And another great thank you to Cindy. We could not have been blessed with a better first guest. And to remember, you will always be first.
I am. Thank you for making me number one.
And thank you for scattering joy to us today.
Yes, thank you for scattering joy.
The views, information, or opinions expressed on this YouTube channel and podcast are solely the views of the individuals involved and by no means represent absolute facts. Opinions expressed by the host and guests can change at any time. Pivot to Grow does not verify the accuracy of the information contained in the YouTube channel and podcast and is not responsible for this information. Pivot to Grow and its hosts assume no responsibility or liability for any errors or omissions in the content of the YouTube channel and podcast. The information contained on the YouTube channel and podcast is provided on an as-is basis with no guarantees of completeness, accuracy, usefulness, or timeliness. The information published on this podcast and YouTube channel is for informational purposes only. Any reliance you place on such, you do at your own risk. The information provided is not meant to be a substitute for professional, legal, medical, mental health, or financial advice. If you require professional services, it is your responsibility to seek it out from a licensed attorney, mental health practitioner, physician, or financial services professional. In no way is the information provided meant to be a substitute for medical or psychological advice. This information does not serve to diagnose, treat, or provide a cure for any condition you may be experiencing. Pivot to Grow does not claim to and will not be held responsible for diagnosing, treating, or curing any physical or mental health condition. This podcast and YouTube channel does not take the place of listener's healthcare professional. Under no circumstances should listener stop seeing his or her healthcare professional. If listener decides to take action based on the coaching and advice he or she receives from Pivot to Grow or a guest on Pivot to Grow, listener does so at his or her own risk.